French President Emmanuel Macron's government is in crisis after opposition parties have united to defeat a key immigration bill. Sound familiar? Following the defeat, Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin offered to step down. However, Mr Macron rejected his resignation. The bill would have made it easier for the government to expel migrants who are sentenced to prison sentences of 5 years or longer, and would have made it more difficult for migrants to bring family members to France. Well, joining me now is President of Generation Frexit, Charles-Henri Gallois. It's been a long time, Charles-Henri. Thank you. So great to see you. This story, of course, is of special interest to us in the UK right now, because tonight, in a few hours' time, we have a huge crunch vote on this side of the channel, and it seems to be a similar predicament, and that is Macron's immigration bill didn't keep anybody happy. Those who wanted it to be harder, Marine Le Pen, they weren't happy, and those on the Liberal left thought it was too hardline, and therefore the whole thing's fallen apart.
Exactly, you know, the parliament was quite split, so there have been some interesting things, such as you can expel more, let's say, criminals, foreign criminals. There have been some interesting stuff, but still, you know, we are still a member of Schengen area. Even if you can expel them, they can come back to your country within days. So it's not very efficient. And why the right parties have voted against it? It's because you add in it a massive regularization for illegal immigrants. So it means that they could expect some immigrants, but at the end, because you foster illegal immigration with regularization, we should have more immigration with this bill. So I think the right parties were quite right to vote against this bill.
And how out of touch, Charles-Henri, would you say the French political establishment is with the average working man and woman? How big an issue now is immigration into France with voters?
I mean, if you look at the poll, it's clear. Yeah, the last poll from today, it's 80% of French people, they don't want more immigration. So it's quite clear, you know, except some totally bureaucratic left people that think, you know, like an Excel file that you can change some people from to another. If you look at the average French people now, it's clear we don't want more immigration. We want much less immigration. And actually, that's why this bill is quite disappointing, because with regularization, eventually it will bring more people.
And Charles-Henri, another story that's caught our attention over in the UK, because it has echoes of the Batley Grammar School, of course. A teacher in Britain still in hiding more than 2.5 years after showing a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad to pupils. He was driven out of his school and driven into hiding. And a story in a school on the outskirts of Paris, a teacher showed a Renaissance painting of Diana and Action to children, 12 and 13-year-olds, and we understand Muslim children aged 12 and 13 turned their backs and complained. The story has gotten out of hand, and now the teachers have gone on strike.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally absurd. It shows, let's say, it's the consequences of massive immigration, because it shows a change of population. You know, formerly, this kind of cartoons, this kind of painting, it was totally normal to see it, to study it, to go to museum and to see it. But we see that there is a complete cultural change that massive immigration is bringing. And I don't think it's a good thing for France. I don't think it's a good thing for Europe, because when you go to the UK, you want to see a UK citizen, you have a certain image of the UK. And I think it's the same for foreigners. When they come to France, they want to see French people, they want to see the real French, they want to see the French culture. So I think everything will go very bad if we keep on doing massive immigration. I think it's a big mistake for Europe, and now the time is counting, because as you can see, when you have a massive change population, there is a level where you cannot come back. And I think we are close to that level, and I think that's why we must act quickly.
And Charles-Henri, we, of course, have seen French teachers murdered by Islamist terrorists. Dominique Bernard, of course, was stabbed to death by a Muslim man in his school's playground in October. Samuel Paty in 2020, a civics teacher, was stabbed and beheaded by a terrorist in France. Again, after showing that cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad. While I've got you on, Charles-Henri, I know you, of course, as Monsieur Frexit. I wanted to ask you, what's the appetite in France at the moment to leave the European Union? There seems to be huge discord about open borders, the things that have blighted Britain for years. Is there any appetite to leave the EU within France at the moment?
I mean, French people are very Eurosceptics. They are very critical about how the EU is run, about how the EU is about open borders. But still, there are some thinking that it can be changed. So that is, let's say, it's quite paradoxal for French people because they hate the consequences of the EU. But so far as there is a huge, massive propaganda in France in favor of the EU, so far they want to, let's say, take back more power from the EU, which is not possible with the current treaties. But still, there is not a majority. There are more than 30% of the people that want to leave the EU, but still, there is no majority. But I think if there is a referendum and if there is a proper debate that can allow us to beat the propaganda and the narrative, I'm quite sure that with a referendum, we will be able to win it exactly as you did in the UK.
OK, superb stuff. Thank you very much for joining us, Charles-Henri Gallois, president of Generation Frexit. That's the Brexit spirit alive and throbbing on the other side of the channel. And we are two nations joined by similar immigration woes.